Hello, Keller Williams, everyone watching on Pivot Shift Ahead. It's your friend James Shaw. Trust you're doing all right. And I'm excited about today because it's getting crazy out there. It really is. I mean, we are coming out of this market in 2020 and 2021 where buyers did whatever it took to keep deals together. They were buying houses without seeing them. They were doing things where they're paying, I'll pay $10 million over the highest offer. They're waiving inspections. They're running around like crazy. And then all of a sudden, since like the spring, they're like, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. And they're not doing anything. Or are they? We're going to talk today to one of my favorite buyer agents on the planet. Well, she works with buyers and sellers, but she's one of my favorite agents on the planet about how you can help your buyers understand today's market and create urgency for them and show them that now's a good time to buy. Brittany, how you doing, Brittany?
Hi, I'm amazing. Everything is great here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and thanks for having me on.
You got it. Will you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are and what team you're on, and a little bit about your business.
Of course. My name is Brittany Whinery out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am a part of the Wolek group. You may have heard of it. Jenny Wolek is awesome, and she shares a lot with all of the agents in this world. And I'm really excited. Last year, I helped 85 families buy and sell real estate. This year, we're on track to help 100, myself, and I have a showing agent. Her name is Tristan, and I'm really grateful for her.
She's a rock star too. So it's great to see how cool it is that you can build a business inside of Jenny's business, right? So that you can continue to grow and get better and help more families, which I love. And on Jenny's team, she lets you do both buyers and sellers, right? And yet today I want to talk a little bit about the buyer piece because you're passionate about that. You're passionate about helping people. So I have a showing agent, and it is getting different, right? I mean, your blink over the last year is a little bit different than it was, say, a year ago?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I think the biggest difference is the amount of communication that we're having with people. And the cool part is, if you're in this business, you like to communicate because that's part of our job. We lead gen every day, we help buyers and sellers every day. And the truth is, I'm really excited about this market. Consultations are one of my favorite things. I am known for spending lots of time with people going over all the details. And the truth is, that is the biggest component of this market that we're walking into, is how important communication is.
Well, let's talk about that because we know this is an epidemic in the real estate world where people run out and show houses. They don't do buyer consultations. You've always done a buyer consultation. I bet it looks different today than it did 6 or 7 months ago. What have you changed in your presentation? What are you doing differently?
Yeah, I really honestly feel like the upfront conversation is the most important. And so, what we're finding is that instead of just having an upfront call, asking a few questions, setting a consult, we're actually having a consult over that first phone call. We're chatting through a lot more details because the truth is, buyers are a little, I don't know if afraid is the right word, but they have a lot of question marks, whether it's hearing things from their friends and family or neighbors who have sold in the last couple of years or purchased, as well as the news. And the truth is, for us to control that narrative, we have to spend a little more time up front on those phone calls to ensure that we build the rapport and the trust that then takes us into the in-person or Zoom consultation with that client. And so we're really kind of doing 3 consultations, right? That first initial phone call, we're spending time, we're making sure we're time blocked properly in case they have extra questions. Then we're asking for the Zoom consultation or in-person consultation where we go over our book, all the steps, the terms, the details. And then really before we head out and do showings or at that first showing, we're kind of doing a little bit of a review and kind of another little shortened consultation with them so that they feel really good about what we're walking into.
It's a 3-step presentation. So many people do a 0-step presentation. And I'm not at all surprised to hear that this is very systematized. We'd expect it to be that way for the Wallet Group. That's how you guys have had so much success, is being very systematized. So let's walk through part of this. So we're going to do our call. You guys are doing your lead gen and you're getting leads for buyers. And you said the first thing is this pre-qualification call, which used to probably be just a handful of minutes, basically getting an idea of what they were looking for and what their plans were, and then scheduling your consultation. Would that be fair to say, like back in the day, like a whole 6 months ago, it was a short, 5 or 10 minute conversation just to set them up to come see you?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
super short.
Yeah. So what have you changed then? What you're saying you're doing more on the front end. So walk us through step by step. What's happening on that initial call? You got a lead. Somebody's at least expressed some interest. What questions are you asking and what are you sharing?
Yeah. So what we first found is that it wasn't really us making the decision that that first call was going to be longer. It was the client. And so then we started having the realization that, okay, we need to time block a little more time for these calls when we capture clients. And if we capture them and they don't have the time, then asking them, Mr. and Miss Smith, we have found that a lot of our clients appreciate having a little bit lengthier of a phone call for our first phone call. I'm sure you've got lots of questions, and we've got lots of questions too. We want to ensure we understand what your end goal is. And so, would it be okay if we set up another follow up phone call for either later this evening or sometime tomorrow, where you have about 30 or 45 minutes for us to really chat and dive into what's most important to you about this process? We want to make sure you feel empowered and educated. And also, we want this process to be fun. So, for us to ensure that that happens, spending a little extra time up front can ensure that we save time as we move throughout the process with you.
All right, so you're getting some clarity around expectations. You're
Yeah.
getting, it sounds like you're finding out what they're nervous about. I imagine many buyers do have concerns about buying right now. So you're getting an idea of what those things are. And so now what, I'm not going to have this Zoom or in-person meeting if this person's not legitimate. This is a pre-qualification to make sure you're using your time right. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Oh, yeah, because the truth is, too, most buyers are looking at more homes right now. There's more homes to look at. They're sitting a little longer on the market. Buyers are a little more not as quick to react because they know that maybe there's not going to be a deadline for stay on market. And so we're just making sure that we understand internally what are their expectations? How quickly do they need to be in this home? Are they a little more hesitant and are they asking a lot of questions? Or are they ready? Like, are they really serious and ready? So we know how to also schedule our time as we move into those showings and who is priority and who maybe needs a little more time.
This is great. So what are some of the fears or questions? What are the common fears and questions that you're hearing on that call?
Yeah, so as an agent team, we chatted this morning. So this is fresh information. And what we're hearing right now is interest rates. That is a concern for a lot of buyers. And then the other piece of that is also timing. Should we wait until next year? And so these are all really good questions. And it also creates the importance of having local lenders that you trust and who know how you operate. We have really great local lenders here who know that we are a consultative team. They understand that our clients are going to expect that from them too. And get a lender who will go over some creative lending options with them. We have a lender here locally that's sharing a lot about like a 5-year ARM and just different options in case they're only going to live in this home for 3 to 5 years. And so I think that that's really important is who are you partnering with? Because at the end of the day, it's not just us as the realtor. We've got title companies, lenders, all of these other pieces that also need to be on the same page as us so that the client gets well-rounded information from all the pieces. And I think that goes into also the timing, right? We can't time the market. And Gary Keller talked a lot about this at Mega Camp. And there are so many graphs that you can include inside of your buyer consultation about timing the market and also about interest rates and helping educate people that, hey, look at the interest rates over the last 10, 20 years and taking a really good glance at that. And at the end of the day, it's all about their why. Why do they want to move? Why do they want to purchase a home? And keeping that as the forefront so that they can envision their life in their new home.
Gary talks about that in Shift, that understanding their motivation is a really big part of helping kind of create some urgency for buyers and remove those fears. And you brought up one of the fears is interest rates, and you talked about, educating them, giving them a historical perspective, and then partnering with someone who can share options with them to find the best program for them. Then you hinted at another one, which is what's happening to the market as a whole. And we hear from a lot of people that their buyers are telling them that they think a crash is coming, or it's almost like some 2008 PTSD, right? So they think that what we saw before might happen again. Are you hearing any of that? And if so, how are you overcoming the concern of any type of market crash, which, to be clear, is not anything that's being expected or forecasted by anyone right now, but a lot of buyers are concerned about it. How are you overcoming that if you're hearing it?
Yeah, I agree with that. And this all goes back to controlling the narrative. And as an agent, we have to stay educated on what's happening in the market and the understanding that, now is different than 2008. And I wasn't actually a realtor during that time. So all of this has been fun and new for me. And I think it goes back to education, keeping yourself plugged into Pivot Shift Ahead, your local in market realtor friends, your actual market center, and the education that they're putting out there so that you can be the person who shares that knowledge. I love Instagram and Facebook because I can help control the narrative with my friends and family by sharing what's actually happening. And then the stories of people that are having wins. People who are securing homes with a good interest rate in a location that they wanted and the reason why they wanted it. And then backing it up a little bit and helping them understand that you are their person, you are their guide. Don't go to channel whatever news to get their information. Come to you for the truth. And I think that that's how we get to control the narrative.
Yeah, the media lacks context, and so we had to fill that in. Page 183 of Shift, you just referenced this, so Brittany, I'm curious about what you're doing. Page 183 of Shift says, share the success stories of people who recently have made the decision to buy and are very happy that they followed through with their purchase. I can't overstate the importance of collecting and sharing these authentic personal stories. By sharing them, it'll give a buyer reassurance both that it's okay to buy and that others are in fact doing it. So you brought it up, sharing stories. Tell us about what you're doing to gather and share those stories of your buyers who have purchased and are probably pretty darn happy they did.
Oh, yeah. We share all the time that we have not had someone reach out upset with us after purchasing their home. And that's pretty awesome. The same goes for, plugging into your office, because I think it's really important. If you don't feel like you have a story to share, your office's story is your story, and people in your market are their agents. And so by sharing kind of from the early stages, we have pictures in our buyer consultation books of happy clients who have just closed. And we make a point to share that, buyer A, B, and C just closed on home 1, 2, 3, and sharing those stories with people. I think that it helps people understand, especially like first time home buyers, making that correlation. I just met with a first time home buyer last week and they had some of the same concerns as you. And the truth is, we're actually finding some really great properties for them. Let me show you some of the ones that I pulled for you, and really diving into those like stats and numbers, because I feel as though when there's more information being given, people get a little more sensitive about the numbers and the real stats and seeing the homes. And so showing that via pulling up active listings that they're looking for when you're meeting with them or on Zoom, showing them homes that you've closed. Maybe you got to negotiate a really good deal for a buyer. Maybe through the inspection period, there were a few things found. You got to negotiate even more money saved for your buyer. So sharing those pieces do become really important, and logging them somewhere. Make a one pager, and that's your one pager that you get to bring to your consultation with your clients and share with people.
This is really great. So I'm curious though about like what a day in the life of Brittany looks like, because my guess would be, I mean, I follow you on Instagram, so I know what your day looks like. It's a lot of driving with not a lot of other people out there with you. But the thing that I think about is, 7 or 8 months ago, a lead would come in and it was urgent and quick, and we needed to get them on the phone and do our consultation and then go out and see that house or those two houses and write an offer. I mean, it was a turn and burn. It was kind of, we spent 2 years in this turn and burn. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. My guess is it looks pretty different now that you probably have to do more lead gen to get the same number of buyers, and your consultations and conversations are longer. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give around that? I want you to talk about this because you kind of had a system and it was go, go, go. And now your lead gen skills becoming exposed, your consultation skills becoming exposed. What would you share on that?
Yeah. I completely agree with this. And it's been something that we've had to transition into fairly quickly, and really keeping a pipeline. I mean, if you don't have a pipeline of people who you have chatted with about real estate, you have to have one. We use an Excel spreadsheet, and all of our buyer clients that I've had conversations with go onto that sheet. And I'm revisiting that 2 to 3 times a week. Have I talked to them? Where are they at? What's the next step? Do we need to have another consultation? And here's the truth too. When you get a buyer pending, you're not done. There is a lot more consultation type conversations that are going to have to happen throughout that process. And that's been another change that we've experienced is me connecting with them 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, is super important and not just a text update. It needs to be sometimes a phone call of, hey, how are you feeling? Here's where we're headed next. What questions do you have? And again, just taking that extra time to talk through that because keeping the deal together, if a buyer is feeling a little hesitant or scared, if something comes up in an inspection, now they're even more scared. So how are we going to help nurture that conversation all the way through? And it starts with the pipeline and keeping track of your people.
Buyer remorse is a real thing, and it's back and better than ever, quite frankly. So it's up to us to keep them moving forward. Okay, the last thing I think for me is I look at somebody like you. You're on a very successful team. You have a showing specialist, so you're going to help 100 families this year, and yet you don't necessarily are the one out showing them all the houses. You've got a ton of leverage to help you. It doesn't mean your life is a pink fluffy unicorn dancing on a rainbow. All right, there's stress and anxiety that comes with you too, but you've got a lot of leverage. Most of the people watching don't have that kind of leverage, and you didn't always have that kind of leverage. What advice would you give to them right now in a time that maybe they are doing a lot more to keep stuff together and they don't have the necessarily all the help that you do? What advice would you share with that agent?
Get a calendar. I cannot stress this enough. Time blocking was the first thing that I mastered when I was a new realtor, and it's life changing. And I still religiously live by my calendar. If it's not on there, it doesn't exist in my life. And that includes personal, family, all the things. And here's the truth as you grow, your day to day schedule is always going to be difficult and hard to manage. You're always going to feel like you're strapped for time. And the truth is, if you'll buy into a calendar, I like to use Google Calendar, then and getting that actually on there and time blocked and creating the space for it, you are going to have time for things that you did not think you had time for. And so I really challenge everyone to get clear on what's most important to you. Of course, putting family and friends and personal time on there first, and then plugging in extra time. On my calendar, I have buffer blocks every single day. And those buffer blocks are meant for those extra buyer conversations that I know I'm going to be having throughout this changing market. And so that would be my tip.
It's smart. It's really smart. I love that. Thank you. Okay, so the one thing people need to know for buyers in this market right now is what?
Take time with them. Invest time in them because the investment of getting a 5-star review or a referral from them later down the road is going to be well worth it.
Take the time. Don't rush the process. Don't skip the steps. Brittany, you're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing these tips. You're going to do 100 transactions this year in your own little business inside of the Wolek Group business. It's really cool to see. I'm so glad that you were able to share some stuff with us today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the morning mastermind calls. Take time with your buyers, right? Go through the process, and they'll buy. There'll be almost 5 million transactions this year. People are buying. It's your job to find them and follow a process. We'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.